So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Huki back here, BSN Network. This is BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, February 1st. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is in fact Tuesday, February 1st here today, coming off another nice night last night in sports. Wasn't huge by any means, wasn't a big, exciting, crazy night in the world of sports. The New York Knicks did get a win, which, to be honest with you, it seems like it has not happened in a while, but they were able to get the win last night against the Kings, 116-96, beat them by 20. A Kings team that's in a rebuild, a struggling Kings team, outside of De'Aaron Fox and Rashawn Holmes and a couple pieces, Tyrese Halliburton and stuff like that. They're really kind of a team that's, rebuilding. They're a team that, fired their coach, Luke Walton. It's like they're a team right now that's rebuilding, getting, trying to, build and trying to still find their identity and, push toward the future and reset the culture and rechange things. And a Knicks team that, has really struggled this season. It was kind of one of those wins where it's a nice get-right win. It's a win where you go out, you play well. RJ Barrett, I should take that back. RJ Barrett did struggle. Randall did play well, right? As a team, they were able to score, get to the basket, get points, stop them on defense. They only held the Kings to 96 points. And I always say this in basketball, no matter who you're playing against, to stop a team anytime below 100 points, because we know how much the NBA, they're scoring, and when you see teams score at the rate they do nowadays, it's like when you get a defensive performance like that and you allow under 100 points and you score 116, you're going to win a lot of those games. And the Knicks last night's win was one of those wins where it was tough, it was gritty, it was, it wasn't the prettiest thing ever, but it's a win where, look, like the kind of how the Knicks were last season, tough, gritty, defense wins games. And last night, the Knicks on defense, the Knicks making stops, the Knicks getting stops, the Knicks scoring when they need to, scoring off of turnover, scoring in transition. That's the Knicks team. Something that we have not seen much of all this year. So last night was a nice win for them. And look, for a team now, you're trying to, now it's kind of one of these, it's a team now where it's like you're trying to figure things out. It's like you're struggling a little bit. You get a win, maybe it can be the start of something. So the Knicks get the win last night. I don't want to, get too ahead of, myself. I'm not a Knicks fan, obviously, as you know. But, for any Knicks fans out there, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself. You beat a Sacramento Kings team that's 18-33 on the season, or now 34 now. And a struggling Kings team that's rebuilding. But for a Knicks team that has been struggling a lot, losing streak, not living up to expectations, players on the team not playing well, maybe some issues with the locker room and some players, to get a win last night was nice. So they have a day off today after a nice win last night against the Kings. And I always say this, right? Sometimes, these little wins here and there, you stack them up. And that's the reality with the Knicks. We've gotten to the point with the Knicks now where it's like, they win a game against the Kings. You're 24-27 on the season, but look, you still got to win more. Like, this season has not been good enough for the Knicks, so we'll see if they can continue. The Nets are on tonight against the Suns as they second game of their West Coast trip. I'm not expecting a good one. I'm not expecting a pretty one. I'm expecting the Nets to lose tonight. I'm not very optimistic, but we'll have to see how things play out. Rangers, Panthers also on tonight. Rangers finish up the first half of the season officially tonight, and after tonight, they will have a 14-day break. So 2 weeks off. After tonight, they will have 2 weeks off up until their next game. So a long time off. It's going to be kind of a little upsetting for me as a fan because I love watching hockey. I really enjoy it. But you still have the All-Star break. You have the other NHL teams resuming on Monday, February 7th after the All-Star break. So a little bit of an extended break here for the Rangers. 2 weeks off. Tonight we'll finish off the first half of the season, head into their All-Star break and the extended break there. Islanders also play tonight against the Senators. They're at home at UBS Arena, looking to finish off their first half strong as well. And, actually, I apologize. Looking to finish off their first half strong with a win tonight and a win tomorrow night. Will get them into their second half of the season. Will lead them into the All-Star break. Right now, they're on a losing streak of 2. So if they can turn things around and get going a little bit, they have a game tonight against the Senators. And then I forgot, tomorrow night, They have a game against the Seattle Kraken, which got postponed due to the weather and the snow that hit the East Coast area, New York, New Jersey, and stuff like that. So that game's rescheduled for tomorrow. Tonight, they're against the Senators at home. Rangers are at the Garden tonight against the Panthers team who last night scored 8 goals against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So it is the second half of back-to-back, but they did score 8 goals. They didn't need to do much. So at the same time, it's like they scored 8. It wasn't like it was a tough physical game that went into overtime. It was kind of one of those games. It was over quickly. They were able to rest some of their guys. So it's like it is the second half of back-to-back for them. But at the same time, they're going to be coming out with a lot of energy because they scored 8 goals last night, and it didn't take much to win that game other than scoring a ton. So Rangers, Panthers tonight, Nets, Suns, Knicks day off, and the Islanders back in action tonight against the Senators first half. Front end of a back-to-back, which will extend into tomorrow against the Seattle Kraken tomorrow night. Alrighty, let's get to the topics. Today's going to be I'm hoping for about a 45 and 50-minute podcast. Going to be a little shorter than usual just because timing. I could probably do an hour podcast, but I want to do about a 45-minute 51. Got 2 very big topics to talk about, 2 very big stories in the NFL, specifically one with New York sports, the other one being a big topic not only in the NFL but the all around in sports. So let's get to the topics for today's podcast. I want to get to Brian Daboll's introductory press conference. I want to talk about it, want to get to his introductory press conference, what it means for the Giants, get you some takeaways. I really only have 2 takeaways from this press conference. I was watching it, I watched the whole thing, and I got to admit, there's 2 things I took away from it, and I'm going to tell you those 2 things. I did not write a whole list out. I was watching it, and I'm thinking of brainstorming, and I was like, I'm watching this thing, and I was getting ready to write things down, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, I have 2 things that I'm going to take away from it, and 2 very big things, keys that I'm going to take away from this Brian Daboll press conference. And I'm going to give you those, talk about it, and I'm going to tell you why I really like Brian Daboll as the Giants head coach. Not just like him, but really like him, and I really believe that he's the right guy for the job, and I'm going to tell you why. It's one of my keys in the press conference. Tom Brady, the all-time great, the NFL, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, has officially announced retirement. I know it came out on Friday. I believe it came out on, was it Friday or Sunday? It was Saturday. It was Saturday. Came out on Saturday, day before the AFC and NFC championship games. Tom Brady, Adam Schefter reported it. His agent and everybody around Tom Brady said it's not official yet. Tom Brady today officially released a statement, today, February 1st, that he is retired. He is no longer playing football. So Tom Brady is out. Or I should not say out, but Tom Brady is retired, and he's officially off into the sunset. And I'm going to tell you why I am happy about this. I'm very happy about this, but I will tell you this. I'm happy about it, but there's no doubt about it. Tom Brady's the GOAT. And I'm going to tell you why there might not be another quarterback that we ever see as good as Tom Brady. We'll also get to the New York sports update and finish things off here today. Like I said, Nets, Rangers, and Islanders all on tonight. Knicks with a day off. Alrighty, so a lot to get to today in the podcast. Like I said, going to aim for about a 45 to 50-minute podcast. We'll see how all that goes. I could just blab on and on and on, and it might go longer than what I expect. But either way, a lot to get to today. With all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. Alrighty, so Joe Schoen, as we all know, got hired a couple weeks ago, about a week or 2 now, as the Giants general manager. He had his introductory press conference last week, and Joe Schoen is now officially, the manager, general manager. He's been it for a little bit now. And on Friday, obviously, I know if you guys want to watch, by the way, if you guys want to watch my Brian Daboll head coaching video, it is on YouTube. I made a video on Saturday. So on Friday, and ironically enough, funny enough, it was like right as the Henrik Lundqvist retirement ceremony was going on. So it was kind of funny. It was kind of ironic. Like right as the Henrik Lundqvist ceremony starts, Brian Daboll, it's like, Brian Daboll's hired as Giants head coach. It's like the Giants wanted to get in the way of Henrik Lundqvist's retirement ceremony. But either way, back to my point with the Giants. So he got hired on Friday, Daboll. Obviously, as we all know, Joe Schoen had his press conference last week. Went through, couple of candidates. Daboll was obviously one of them, came through. Flores was another one. You had Flores, Daboll, Patrick Graham, Dan Quinn came through the Giants. You had a ton of guys. I think Leslie Frazier, tons. You know how it is, right? You have all your guys and you break it down. I believe the coaches that got second interviews were Flores, Daboll. I think Dan Quinn got another one. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. And I believe Patrick Graham got another one. His second interview. As we all know, he is the defensive coordinator now. So I believe he got a second interview. He's actually going, I think, today for the New Orleans job. Patrick Graham might get picked up. So it's been a kind of a whirlwind for the Giants ever since the season ended. You fire Joe Judge, you bring in Joe Shane. And look, right, I always say this, and I said this with the Jets, right? Every time a fan base is going to find a way to rally behind a coach, every time a fan base is going to try to find ways to like their new coach, like what they're doing, they're going to try to find ways to believe and buy in, right? Now, Gaze was the one example where I had no belief in him whatsoever. When we made the hiring, I hated it. I hated it all the way up into the season, and I continue to hate it, and I still hate it to this day because it set our franchise 2 years back. But either way, now with the Giants, right? You hire Joe Shane, you bring in Brian Daboll, and all I can say is this, before I really get into the Brian Daboll press conference, Giants fans right now, quarterback, I know there's a lot of quarterback controversy going on with Daniel Jones and all that. All things considered, the Giants right now are in a better position today, in a way better position today after listening to Daboll speak yesterday than they were even just a couple days ago. Because I think Daboll had one of the better press conferences for a coach, an introductory press conference for a coach that I've seen in a while. And like I said, I was listening to it, and I had two takeaways from it. I didn't make a whole list like I did Shane. I didn't make a whole, this and that, and oh, what is this, and some key things he said, and oh, is this true, what all this. I didn't make that. I took two things away from it. One of them is involving the quarterback, which I think I tend to a little bit disagree, but it's where the Giants are going. They believe in Daniel Jones, and it seems like they're going to go that way. That's my second takeaway. My first takeaway, though, is this. And we talk about culture a lot of times, right, in football. We talk about culture in sports. We talk about culture in a lot of things, right? Building the foundation, culture, all that stuff. That's all part, right? That's what the Jets and Robert Saleh are trying to do right now. Laying the foundation, building this culture, building the roster, building this organization so it's not only good, so it's good for years and years to come. All right, that's the whole thing. And same thing here with the Giants. It's all about building the culture, building the foundation, getting better, progressing, trying to work on the roster. And one thing I took away yesterday, and maybe more three takeaways, but kind of the first one's kind of about a half and half. One thing I took away yesterday from Brian Daboll's press conference, one of the takeaways, was he's just such a down-to-earth guy that kind of just is just down to earth and just seems like a regular everyday dude that's just having fun and enjoying life. That's what he truly seems like. And you might not know where I'm going with this, but I'm going to tell you where I'm going with this right now. That is extremely pivotal for an organization and for building a culture. Brian Daboll yesterday standing up there seemed just like your typical dude standing up there going for a job interview, explaining. He was honest. He was telling you straight up, this is what we're going to try to do. He even said it. Like Joe Shane and him have even said it. They're honest, right? They're not making no playoff mandate. They're not saying, oh, this is when they know, they realize they realize this task at hand. They realize that in order to get this team back to what it once was is going to take a whole lot of work. It's going to take a whole lot of signings. It's going to take a whole lot of trade. It's going to take a lot. Because right now this roster's in shambles, not only with the cap, but overall the talent on the team. It's going to take a lot of work. And he was honest about that. And him and Joe Shane have both been honest about that. They're not saying, oh, we should make the playoffs in 2 years. No, they're being honest. They really don't know how long this might take. This might be a 3-year process. But if you continue to show progress, continue to show building, and continue to show improvement, then they are truly the future. But like my big takeaway was, he just seems calm up there. He seems like a dude that's really down to earth and really ready to go, and a dude that the players can buy into. Because you want to know what the Giants didn't have in Joe Judge? It was a guy that truly the guys can go to talk to and just get their feelings out. And talk to as just a coach and have a normal conversation with. Because Joe Judge, when he was the coach, he was so like, oh, this is our plan, right? We're doing this, we're doing that, all right? Right there, you see that right there. That's what he was like right there. He said right there every other sentence. And he was like that in his press conference. He was all tense. He was all tensed up, and this is what we're going to do, and we better do this and this and that and this. Being all strict. Brian Daboll yesterday, he was loose. He was just saying it. He was talking. He was just talking like, you were sitting down with him, and just having a conversation with him. And that to me is huge in a coach. And you might think I'm crazy. Who knows? Hey, comment down below and call me crazy for thinking this is one of the big takeaways. But it's the truth. He's a very down-to-earth guy. And listening to him talk, listening to him reveal what he wants to do with this team is super promising. Because even Bill Belichick behind the scenes, they always say it. He's a very calm, cool dude that players talk to all the time and just hang out. That's what they do. And Belichick, in front of cameras and on TV, it might seem like he's this really harsh, intense guy that yells at his players, but that's not true. Cam Newton has said it. Numerous players have come out and said, Belichick behind the scenes is a really cool dude and a calm dude to talk to. And look, Belichick, the success he's had. He's had 2 decades of winning. And I know a big reason was that with Brady, but still, 2 decades of winning. 2 decades straight of winning Super Bowls. You want to know why? Because he built the culture. He's cool behind the scenes. Players can talk to him. Joe Judge didn't have that. And Brian Daboll yesterday showed that a lot. He showed a lot of that, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to try our best at it, and you're going to get our best shot. And I'm just going to, and I'm talking here. I'm just going to, he just seemed like a very down-to-earth guy that the players can talk to, and truly a guy that players can respect. Because when earning the respect is not always being this strict coach and trying to be all hard on the players. Earning respect a lot of times is being able to communicate with the players, being able to talk to the players. Ultimately, just being able to have conversations and spend time with the players. That's how you build locker rooms. That's how you build winning organizations. Something the Giants haven't had in a very long time. And something I do believe they're getting here in Brian Daboll. And I listen to WFAN. It's a radio station in New York, one of the biggest out there, in the country. And Chris McMongle last night, got to quote him on this, said this perfectly. And he could not have said it a better way. I was listening last night to the radio. He said this in the best way possible. He said, Brian Daboll standing up there was like your uncle. And I truly believe that. Like, standing up there yesterday, you would not think he was a football coach. He was just talking. He was just, you could tell he was truly enjoying himself. You could tell, like, truly, he's proud. He's glad he got the job. You could tell he's truly ready to work. And you could really, really see the vision. You could really see why there was so much success in Buffalo. You could really see why so many people around the league believe in this guy. And you can ultimately see why Joe Shane and the Giants brought him in. He's a very down-to-earth guy. And those type of people that can communicate with the players, can just have regular conversations with the players. Not this strict guy and all this stuff and Joe Judge and all this of look at the film and all that stuff. No, not all that. Guys that are just calm, down-to-earth coaches are the ones who succeed. That's why Belichick has succeeded all these years. Because you know what? Players say it all the time. He's calm, cool, collected behind the scenes. On TV, on television, he might not be. But behind the scenes, he's a very cool dude that just players enjoy hanging out and talking to with. And Brian Daboll showed a lot of that yesterday. I'm not saying Brian Daboll's Bill Belichick, but I'm saying traits of being a coach that can restart an organization was a lot of what Daboll showed yesterday. And that's a guy that just seemed calm, a guy that just seemed very loose, and a guy that ultimately I think players are going to really buy into. And that's what I saw, one of the big keys. Or one of the big takeaways. My second takeaway was this. It's the quarterback, Daniel Jones. Daboll said it yesterday. Daniel Jones is our guy. Joe Shane said in his press conference, Daniel Jones is our guy. Unless if this is just one big, fake out of, we're all going to lie to the media. Daniel Jones is the New York Giants quarterback coming up. You know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. I disagree. I tend to disagree. If I was the Giants, I would get rid of Daniel Jones and try to bring in another quarterback. I'd get rid of Daniel Jones now before if he has another bad season, his value really dips. Because the last thing you want is either to him have another injury this year or for him to just play bad and then you don't get a trade partner or you can't get rid of him or he's just stuck on your roster or you could get rid of him but maybe you got a 4th round pick instead this season you could have got a 3rd or something like that. Right now if I was the Giants I would trade Daniel Jones. I would. I could give you many reasons why I'm not going to. You know how I feel about Daniel Jones. Brian Daboll, Joe Shane have both expressed it a ton that Daniel Jones is their guy. And Brian Daboll yesterday said it perfectly. Like the guy, said it yesterday, just showing all the, all everybody that Daniel Jones is their guy. He said walking in the building, the first guy he saw was Daniel Jones. And I truly believe that Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll do believe that Daniel Jones is very committed. I think they're very committed on Daniel Jones. I think they believe in Daniel Jones. And I don't really, I kind of go back to this. Like, you look at all these teams and you really look at all these electric quarterbacks and the Joe Burrows of the world and the Patrick Mahomes of the world and, the Josh Allens and all those guys. And all those guys have shown great talent. All those guys have shown great strengths and great, just ability to play the game of football and great, strengths and, ability, like I said, at each of their, they both have strengths and abilities that are so great. Daniel Jones has not shown that. He really has not shown that at all. He hasn't really shown those great strengths or great abilities or things that you don't see other quarterbacks do. Daniel Jones has been an average quarterback at best. And when you want to turn an organization around, when you want to turn an offense around, sometimes it takes bringing in an elite level quarterback, or sometimes it takes, or a lot of times you look at all these good teams, they all have these high level elite quarterbacks. I mean, look at the two quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, he's electric, and Matthew Stafford's having the best year of his career. Look at those two quarterbacks, right? Look at the guys that were in the ultimately. Look at the two teams. Look at the teams in the championship rounds, right? The Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, they've been there. Bengals also very, they're there now. Look at the Niners. They lost. Jimmy G's not that electric quarterback. Now, Jimmy G did an excellent job in San Francisco, but he's not that electric quarterback. Daniel Jones isn't either. And when you even look at the other quarterbacks in the NFC, and I know there's the rumors about Rodgers and stuff, but even your own division, like Jalen Hurts is at least somewhat promising. You already have Dak Prescott. Like, Daniel Jones, can he truly show you, is he truly that guy to lead you to the promised land? Is he truly that talented enough when you look around the league and you look at the Herberts of the world and you look at the Joe Burrows and the Matthews, the Staffords and, the Allens and the Mahomes and all those guys, all those electric quarterbacks? Can Daniel Jones really ever get to that level? And maybe Daboll comes in here and, kind of like, and look, right now, Jones's college resume is very similar to Josh Allen's. Daboll, who worked with there for all 4 years of his career. Allen coming out of college was not the Joe Burrow or not, one of those guys who was, the Heisman winner and a national championship. He was not that player. He was just a young kid from Wyoming who a lot of people had question marks. And Daniel Jones is the same thing. He was not that Heisman winner. He was not that national championship guy. He was not that highly rated quarterback. He was a player, another young guy, small name football school in Duke, just trying to make it to the league and get an opportunity. Giants took a chance on him. Hasn't worked out, but it's similar in terms of when Josh Allen was drafted, there was a whole lot of questions. When Daniel Jones was drafted, it was a whole lot of questions. Josh Allen was a project, right? He was the project quarterback. Joe Burrow and all them, they were all the guys that they knew they were going to be good day one. Josh Allen was the project. Daniel Jones is also kind of a project. You wonder, in his fourth year, can that project be truly elevated like they did to Allen? And that's why I do see the sense of keeping Jones is kind of smart. I just don't know if Daniel Jones is going to have the potential like Allen. And who knows? You bring in Daboll, who worked with Allen, worked with a quarterback. You bring in a true guy in the system and stuff. And look, if Daboll can turn Allen into what Daboll can, if Daboll can turn Allen into what he has, he definitely can turn Daniel Jones. But it's the question is what's Daniel Jones' limit? Even if Daboll transforms Daniel Jones, is he truly good enough? Is he truly going to be as good as some of these other elite quarterbacks? That's yet to be seen. And is the talent around him really as good as what these other elite quarterbacks are working with? And that's going to be tough to build because you don't have much cap space. So definitely some questions there at the quarterback. But my two big takeaways are, A, look, number one, he seems calm. He seems happy. I mean, he seems a guy that players are going to buy into. And B, Daniel Jones seems to be, he's going to be the guy there. And it's the real question is, and I don't doubt that. I believe Brian Daboll can turn him into a better version of Daniel Jones. But what is the better version of Daniel Jones? Is it elite level? Is it average? Or is it kind of where we're at now where he's just not good enough? What is it? We'll see. And that's the risk the Giants are taking here. So, Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, they're all in on Daniel Jones, and they're all in on building around him, using what's in place, building through the draft, giving everything that they can to the quarterback, and going to try to lift him so he can be the best player he can be. And we'll see how it plays out. Look, right, and another thing, too, is they were a 4-win team last season. Not good enough again. Daniel Jones, injured, hurt, doesn't have the weapons. So it's definitely they got their handful, but if what Brian Daboll did with Allen, he's definitely capable of doing again with Jones. It's just a matter of really where does Jones max out? Where does he? We'll find out. Alright, so that's what I got for Brian Daboll in the introductory press conference. Like I said, going to be a little bit of a shorter video today. Going to get to Brady now. So comment down below your thoughts on Brian Daboll's press conference. Comment down below my first takeaway, your thoughts on it. I don't think I worded it very well. I don't think I got the point across very well, kind of just recapping of what I said. To try to maybe put into simpler terms, like he just seems like a guy that players are going to really respect. Joe Judge was not a guy players respect. I think Joe Judge was too strict. I think Joe Judge was too, Joe Judge was coaching a football team like it was the military. Like having them run and sprints and all that stuff. And you could tell they didn't respect their coach when they were getting blown out and they weren't playing. Like Daboll, whether they win one game this season, Daboll's going to be the guy that they're going to play for the coach. They're going to battle for him. They're going to fight for him. They're going to try to do their best because he's calm. He just seems to be. And look, even some of the other players there today were there today, and they were there yesterday. Handshake and Daboll, Sterling Shepard was there, right? So you could tell the players are buying in already. You could tell they like him already. And I think yesterday's press conference should make you like him even more. All right, so that's what I got for Brian Daboll in his introductory press conference. Coming up next here, I'll get to Tom Brady and his retirement. It is officially official. The rumors, the possibility, the speculation ever since they got eliminated by the Rams in a divisional round, and then the report coming out Saturday by Adam Schefter, and then there were other report that's saying he's not officially retired at. Well, today marked the date, Tuesday, February 1st, 2022. Tom Brady, an amazing, a historic 22-year career is officially over. And I'm going to tell you why he is the greatest of all time. I don't really need to tell you why he is. And why we might not see another Brady ever again. Coming up next. Alright, so welcome me back here up at the podcast. Well, we got big news today. I mean, it was big news, but it kind of happened a couple days ago. But still, huge news. Tom Brady announces NFL retirement after iconic 22-season career, 22-year career, I like that better, but 22-season career with Patriots. And as we all know, these last two seasons, which first year ended up in a Super Bowl, this season ended up in a division round exit with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And look, this comes by a little bit of a surprise by me. Now, today it doesn't come by surprise. Like, when the news came out on Saturday of him being retired, of him retiring, it wasn't official. It was all about just him saying it on his own time. And today was the day for him to officially make that announcement, for him to officially say, look, I'm hanging up the cleats. My 22-year career of legendariness, that's not even a word, but a lot of just GOAT, a legendary career of 22 years is officially up. And Tom Brady made that official today by him announcing it. I got to admit, I was surprised when this report came out on Saturday. I was surprised. Today, I wasn't really that surprised because the report already came out, but all in all, I thought for sure, the way that he was still playing at a high level, I thought for sure Tom Brady was going to come back for another year. I know he always talked about wanting to play until he was 45. He circled that age for the longest time now, and every year it seemed like we would go into the offseason, it would be like, is this going to be Brady's year to retire? And now it finally happens, and look, he said that he wanted to play until he's 45. He's going to turn 45 in August, so before next season will begin, he's going to be 45. So it's kind of like he said he wanted to play until 45. He said he was going to hang it up the cleats after that. It's like now it's finally coming true. Now it's finally coming to the point that, look, he's going to hit 45 before the season starts next season. It's getting to the point where he wants to spend time with his family. His kids are getting older. I don't think people really fully realize not only does just anybody, a normal career, like a 10-year career in the NFL, takes a lot out of it. Like, year in and year out, week in and week out, like, you're not home much. You don't see your family much. We all know how it is, right? For a guy to play 22 seasons, for a guy to play at a high level like he did, be in the postseason every year, so it's not even like he had January and February off. Have January and February, he's in the postseason every single season. To win all those Super Bowls, to do all that, to put in all that work. As you get older, you got to put in more work and more effort because your body's getting older, right? All of that goes into it. Finally, he announces a retirement. And look, as a Jet fan, I'm happy because for 22 seasons, for 2 decades, he has dominated our franchise. We got him a couple times. We got him once in a divisional round, but that was it. Other than that, Tom Brady has dominated not only the Jets, but the entire AFC East. Specifically, the Jets and the Bills. Because the Dolphins has had some recent success against the Patriots. They had the Miami Miracle. Brian Flores, when he took over in his 3 years there, I believe went 4-2 against Belichick. So the Dolphins have had a little bit more success against New England. But specifically the Bills and the Jets have had horrible records against Brady. Brady again beat us this year when we thought we could beat Brady, week 17 at home, as we all know, the whole quarterback sneak game. When we thought we almost had Brady this season again, when he was on the Buccaneers, the whole Antonio Brown running off the field game. He came back. He won with a final, 15 seconds left in the game, makes a big throw, and the Jets lose. He comes back to beat us again. And finally, Brady is gone. But really, though, he's gone. And as a Jet fan, for a guy that's dominated our team so much, and it's been so frustrating. It's like every year when we saw New England was on the schedule twice, it's like every single season, you're like, is this the year we finally beat Brady? Is this the year? We have not beaten Brady, by the way, since I believe it was the 2016 season, right? It was either 2016 or 2015, or it was 2015-2016 season. It was the Eric Decker game-winning touchdown in the corner of the end zone. Ryan Fitzpatrick's first year. That was the year we went 10-6. And we beat Brady that week. Next week, we went up in Buffalo, and we lost to the Bills. So it's like the pain of Brady still doesn't end, because we beat him, and it's like the football gods were like, oh, you beat Brady, you don't deserve to be in the postseason. Jets lost to Buffalo. Pittsburgh then got in. Jets were eliminated, won 10 games, did not get in to the postseason. That was Todd Bowles' first year, and after that, everything started to fall apart. Fitzpatrick was not the same player. Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, they all started to get older and not the same players, and they were not good enough. And then Todd Bowles, as we all know, gets fired. Gase takes over, and now we're here at Salah. So it's been tumultuous. I mean, it's been really just, he's dominated us. He has dominated us. And we got him a couple times, but he got us the majority. So the fact that he's finally out, to me, makes me happy. But really, though, fan base aside, fans aside, your fandom for the NFL, whether you hate them, whether you love them, or whether you don't care. If you're a Giant fan today, if you're a Giant fan today, you don't care. You beat him twice. You took care of him twice in the Super Bowl. Once when they were going for the first ever, once when they were going to complete the undefeated season, which, by the way, the Dolphins did it, but I believe that year they went 14-0, so they were trying to complete the first ever 16-0, go perfect in the postseason. Giants beat them. And then again in 2011, 2012, Giants beat them again. So Eli Manning and the New York Giants today are like, he retired. That doesn't really bother me because, look, we beat him twice. So who really cares? He's gone. He's the GOAT, but we beat him twice, and that's all I got to say about it. Jets fans, though, we're all happy. But put your fandom aside. Put your love for the game aside. Whether you hate him, whether you love him, or whether you're like a Giant fan today that you don't care. You don't care what happens because you always find you beat him twice in the Super Bowl. Whatever you are, there is no doubt Tom Brady is the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time. And there is no argument. There was once an argument about Montana, but there is no longer an argument that Tom Brady is not the greatest quarterback of all time. Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, and there's no argument. Winning 7 Super Bowls. Just to give you a couple. Greatest in NFL history. Holds the all-time records for Super Bowl wins 7. Super Bowl MVP awards 5. Playoff wins 35. Regular season wins 243. Passing yards 84,520 and passing touchdowns 624. Among many other accolades in his lustrous career. So those are just all his records. Those are just some of them. He has even more. He holds the records for tons. Record for most Super Bowls, yards, touchdown passes, as Super Bowl MVPs, right? Playoff wins, regular season wins. He is the most winningest quarterback of all time. He's one of the most winningest athletes of all time. He's one of the most winningest athletes of all time. Tom Brady's the GOAT. He won 7 Super Bowls. There might not ever be another Tom Brady, and you want to know why? Because he went from a guy who was drafted that late. For a guy who was drafted in what was it, the 7th round? For a guy who was, let's see here. Can't believe I'm forgetting this. Where are we going here? For a guy who was drafted in the 6th round, I apologize. For a guy who was drafted in the 6th round to have to come in to fill in for an injury, who the Patriots thought they had their guy in Drew Bledsoe, and they were like, Drew Bledsoe's our man, and Drew Bledsoe's our guy. To get drafted in the 6th round, start as a backup. Mo Lewis delivering the hit on Drew Bledsoe. Tom Brady being launched, being released. And we're sitting here today, 2022, February 1st, and a historic 22-year career comes to an end. And really, I don't think we will see another Tom Brady. Maybe you might say Patrick Mahomes might be close to it. At the rate we're going, Patrick Mahomes might go down as one of the all-time greats. Not the greatest. To win 7 Super Bowls, to win that many playoff games, to have that many yards, that many touchdowns for a quarterback, and to play at that high of a level up until the age of 44, and to switch teams and win a Super Bowl in your first year, you won't see that ever again. And I'm gonna tell you that. And there's a good chance, not only in football but in sports, you might not see another guy like Tom Brady ever again. Maybe one day, but not anytime soon. Because you might say Patrick Mahomes, but look, Patrick Mahomes has 1 Super Bowl win. So Patrick Mahomes has 1 Super Bowl. And he's 4 years into his career? He might win 7, but when you have all these other teams in the AFC too, the Bills and the Chargers and all that stuff, can the Chiefs really win? Can Patrick Mahomes really win 6 more? I don't think so. Winning 7 rings is incredibly hard. He won 7 rings. To play 22 years in a sport, to play 22 years of a sport is extremely difficult. MJ didn't even play that long. To play 22 years, that in itself is an incredible accomplishment. And to win 7, and by the way, he made it to 10. Are we ever going to see another guy make it to 10 Super Bowls? Sure, he didn't win all of them, but he made it to 7. Or he made it to 10, he won 7. Even Michael Jordan, he played 14 seasons. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, he did not play 22 years. He played 14. Now, overall, if you think about it, the Washington Wizards, he played, I know, for about 2 years. So I guess 14 in a row than 16 or whatever. Because he did retire that at one point and he came back. But either way, right, that Michael Jordan, legendary career. Even he had a legendary career. But to play that much, 22 years in a league, and to be dominant at the age he was, Tom Brady's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time, and there's no debate. And will we ever see another Tom Brady, a quarterback drafted in the 6th round, win 7 Super Bowls, make it to 10, have a dynasty that stretches along 2 decades? 2 decades. The 90s Bulls was not 2 decades. To have a dynasty that stretches from the early 2000s all the way up until 2019. Pretty much 2 decades of dynasty. To have a quarterback dominate the NFL like he did for 2 decades. I don't think we're ever going to see it again. I truly don't. And to Tom Brady and his career, you got to respect it. Whether you like him, whether you hate him, whether you don't care at all that he retired, if you're like a Giant fan and you beat him twice so you don't really care, whatever it is, Tom Brady is the GOAT. There's no debate, and I don't think we'll ever see another Tom Brady, a quarterback that dominant for that long. Tom Brady announced his NFL retirement after iconic 22-season career with Patriots and the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady has officially announced his retirement after 22 NFL seasons. Brady's player resume stands alone as the greatest in NFL history. He holds the all-time records for Super Bowl wins 7, Super Bowl MVP awards 5, playoff wins 35, regular season wins 243, passing yards 84,520, and passing touchdowns 624, among other accolades. The three-time All-Pro also won 3 NFL regular season MVP awards and once held the single-season passing touchdown record, 50, set in 2007. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell congratulated Brady after the quarterback announced his retirement. I won't read that whole statement. I will read Bruce Arians' statement here. Tom joined us. This is from Bruce Arians. Tom joined us as the greatest football player of all time, and he quickly showed everyone in our organization what that meant. He set a standard and helped create a culture that took our team to the mountaintop. It has been an honor to be his head coach for the past 2 seasons. I wish it didn't have to end, but few players have the opportunity to leave the game on their own teams. Even fewer can do it while playing at an elite level. Tom is the exception. I have a deep appreciation and respect for what he has done for our franchise, and I wish him and his family nothing but the best in his next chapter of life after football. Reports circulated Saturday that Brady will turn 45 years old in August. Who will turn 45 years old in August was set to retire. ESPN's Adam Schefter and Jeff Darlington, both the News and Ian Rappaport NFL Network, also reported that Brady was set to retire. Brady's agent, Don Yee, said his client would reveal his future plans shortly. So it wasn't official until today. Brady's father, Tom Brady Sr., also denied the reports in a conversation with Mike Giardi of NFL Network. Brady ultimately did decide to retire, however, ending the greatest playing career in NFL history. Expectations weren't high for the ex-Michigan Wolverine when the New England Patriots selected Brady in the 6th round with the 199th overall pick out of Michigan 2000. He sat behind starter Drew Bledsoe in his first season, but got the call to be QB1 after veteran Samuel Call suffered serious injuries, including internal bleeding, following a hit from New York Jets linebacker Mo Lewis in Week 2 of the 2001 campaign. That's the big hit. The rest is history, and Brady helped to lead the Pats to their first Super Bowl win. New England went 11-5 after going 5-11 the year before and finished its season beating the heavily favored St. Louis Rams in the Super Bowl. Brady guided the Patriots to Super Bowl victories in 2003 and 2004 and nearly did so in 2007 with an undefeated team. However, the New York Giants shut down the Brady-led offense and scored a late touchdown to secure a Super Bowl victory and send the Patriots home with an 18-1 record and without a Lombardi trophy. There's a lot more here. Just to kind of add on to it, Brady wasn't able to lead the Patriots 2008. Blah blah. He returned, got to Super Bowl again. Super Bowl wins in 2014, 2016, 2018. However, to give himself 6 wins for his career. And then he got to the Super Bowl this season, or last season, won it, which was his 7th, and so on and so forth. His second season in Tampa ended in a playoff disappointment with 30-27 Los Angeles Rams loss to the Los Angeles Rams in the NFC divisional round. But Brady continued to defy logic at age 44, throwing for an NFL-high 44 touchdowns for the NFC South champions. Remarkably, Brady appeared to have plenty left in the tank this season as he's dominated despite being in his mid-40s. However, he will retire during a 2-decade prime that destroyed any logic fans have about the longevity of peak athletic performance. It's the truth. I mean, he dominated the sport for 2 decades. Let that sink in, and I'll leave it at that. All right, so let's get to the New York sports update and all that good stuff. By the way, New England fans are overhyping a little bit. Today, he didn't really name New England much in his post in his message that he wrote, and everyone's like, what is he doing? But look, he said thank you. He said thank you on a post that Robert Kraft made, and believe me, he loves the New England organization, no doubt about that. They're the reason why he's here today. But I mean, the reason why, like, they gave him the chance. They could have easily, even after they won that Super Bowl, they could have easily said, Bledsoe, this is your team. I don't care what you do, this is your team. They didn't. They stuck with Tom, and the rest is history. Alrighty, so let's get to the New York sports update and finish off the podcast. As for today in the world of basketball, we got the Pistons and the Pelicans. I'll give the Pistons the win. Raptors, Heat, give me the Heat. After their crazy double overtime duel the other night, give me the Heat. Bucks, Wizards, I'll take the Bucks. Bulls, Magic, give me the Bulls. Timberwolves, Nuggets, give me the Timberwolves. And Spurs, Warriors, give me the Warriors. As for the world of college basketball, Creighton, Connecticut, I'll give UConn the win. Kansas, Iowa State, give me Kansas. Michigan State, Maryland, give me Michigan State. Tennessee, Texas A&M, give me Tennessee. Auburn, Alabama, I'll take Auburn. LSU, Ole Miss, give me LSU. St. John's, Providence, I'll take St. John's. And Texas Tech, Texas, give me Texas Tech. I'll actually take Providence over St. John's. I apologize for that. A lot of NHL games on tonight. Penguins, Capitals, I'll give Penguins the win. Flyers, Jets, give me the Jets. Bruins, Kraken, I'll take the Bruins. Devils, Maple Leafs, I'll take the Maple Leafs. Lightning, Sharks, give me the Lightning. Islanders, Senators, give me the Isles. Predators, Canucks, I'll take the Predators. Flames, Stars, I'll take the Flames. Avalanche, Coyotes, give me the Avalanche. And Sabres, Golden Knights, I'll take the Golden Knights. As for today in the NHL, as for today in the Rangers, Rangers come into this game 29-13-4. Panthers come into this game fresh off an 8-goal performance. They beat the Blue Jackets last night 8-4. They're 32-9-5. The over/under is set at 6.5 this game because on tonight 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. 67% of people in the Rangers will win this game. Give me the Rangers. I think Gallant's post-game press conference saying that he was disappointed, rightfully so. It was not a good performance against Kraken. We won, but it wasn't our best hockey. I think might light a fire under the team and go into the break on a high note. Fantasy basketball, I'm banged up. Injuries all over the place. I'm currently winning 220 to 157, but I'm banged up all over the place. Brandon Ingram's, he's questionable for tonight's game with an ankle, and Jokic's day-to-day, he's questionable as well with right toe soreness. So hopefully these guys are back, but we'll see how everything plays out. So that's what I got for the fantasy basketball and the rest of the New York sports update and all the sports that are on tonight. Alright, so that will do it. By the way, Kentucky's ranked top 5 in the nation. So Kentucky is top 5 in the nation. They're number 5 right now in the nation after their big road win against Kansas. Alright, so that will do it for the podcast here today. I know a little bit of a shorter one again. Tomorrow will be a little shorter as well. This week might be a little bit of a shorter pods. I actually don't mind the shorter podcast, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you why. First of all, if they're shorter, they're quicker. But they're also easier to upload. Because an hour and 15-minute podcast takes so long to upload. A 45 or what? This is 47 minutes. Takes much shorter to upload. So it's much easier to upload too. The upload time's much quicker. Either way, that'll do it. As always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.